All right. Hello, wonders. Here we are going live, doing a little talking thing because, oh my God, if I actually have to record this, edit it, and then do all the other things to get it up, it's never going to happen. So, hey, sometimes when you want to do something, you just have to take the leap and do it. And regardless of how, decently prepped you are by, I don't know, muting the computer, taking the clip out of your hair, all those preparatory things so that you're, fully ready to go and engage. So here we are. Imbolg, actually a couple days past Imbolg because, sometimes life is hard and the things that we plan to do and the time frame we plan to do them don't end up happening. And we face a choice of not doing them at all, doing them late, doing them modified. And so here we are, late, potentially a little bit modified, but doing it nonetheless. So I want to share, vent, rant, take your pick, my abysmal perspective on using seeds in ritual. So I have wanted to do this for quite some time because I have feels. I have so many feels on this topic, going back, oh, so many years as well. Uh, this is my perspective. It's my abysmal perspective, which means I'm not going to explain a bunch of things. I'm kind of presuming that you already know about ritual and magic and such. That's the point of this channel. If you are interested in more of a basics, hey, what is this stuff? What the heck is she actually talking about? Or what are they actually talking about, to be honest? Go check out A Witch's Perspective, where I try to keep it much more accessible. So if you're here, I'm presuming that you know what I'm talking about when I say ritual. And quite frankly, if you've been around for a bit, you have probably experienced the use of seeds in ritual because it's a thing that happens. It's a thing that happens kind of a lot. Over my, oh my God, how old am I? Over 30 years now of practice. I've done it at least a dozen times. As an instigator and as a participant, I have encountered this a number of times. It's not quite one per year, but frankly, it's still kind of a high number. So what I'm talking about is you go to a ritual or you do a ritual, and it can be kind of a couple of different things. But in essence, it usually happens around this time of year. Invokes a common time for it. Ostara, also a good time. So hey, maybe I'm getting ahead of my Ostara recordings. Ooh, it's a little bit of perspective shift, right? Maybe just really early. So you go to a ritual, and they're like, we're going to do growing. We're going to grow something. We're going to take seeds, plant them, and empower them. And then what we have put intention-wise into those seeds is going to grow, and it's going to become this thing, and it's going to support us having that thing grow and manifest in our life. Sounds great. Very logical, very reasonable in a sense. Touches on a number of different things. It gives us something solid to engage with, to put the magic into. We're engaging with a living thing, at a good time of year. All these things, like seriously, it's a really common thing and can be quite enjoyable. So why do I have issues with it? Well, let me tell you. Essentially, we're talking about a ritual that involves a living thing, birthing a living thing. And we have major issues around consent and around people's actual willingness to engage, which kind of goes with the consent thing. So there's two different types of seed rituals that I've experienced. I'm going to go with the less common one first, which is the, and did I instigate this? Yeah, I kind of did. And I learned, even actually in that ritual, that not so great way to go. And I have seen it done as well, separate, which is you're out in nature. Now, admittedly, I live in suburbia, so my nature tends not to be as naturey as other places because we were at a local park that has a vein of wildness to it. It is allowed to kind of do what it's going to do. It is not fully landscaped and manicured. Manicured. Actually, maybe that is the word I meant. Not sure in this moment. Oh well, moving on. So we're there and we had bulbs I think it was probably crocuses. Could have been tulips. I don't think it was tulips. Daffodils. Daffodils or crocuses. It's been too long. And we were planting them. Um, Now, admittedly, in that ritual, there was something of a gift and offering, sort of to the land. I think that was a thread that was underlying what we were doing, but it was not explicit. And frankly, we were just then learning. This is, I want to say this is like 2020, well, probably 25 at least years ago. You know, um, Consent wasn't even a thing that was talked about in the world at that point. 25 years would put it mid 90s. We were out of the 80s at least, which, if you've ever seen movies from the 80s, we had some interesting notions about consent in the 80s, as in we didn't. Um, so, yeah, we were in the park and planting bulbs. Now, this is a place that, wow, I'm just sitting. I've actually seen daffodils in that park, not the places that we were actually at, but still, I've seen daffodils, which means that either they're local, somebody else had the same idea at some point, or what we did had a lasting impact that I was not expecting. The issue, of course, is that we were adding something potentially not native to the land into the ecosystem. And anytime you add something that is not native to an area into an ecosystem, you do run a risk of causing unexpected damage to the ecosystem. Now, this is also, like, I'm sure there are bulbs growing across the street at the people's houses. This is not as big of a stretch, but just because it's not as potentially bad does not mean that it was an okay thing to do. Because we were, like I said, introducing something to the land that was not part of the ecosystem. So that's a very practical component. And then we get into something that I think a number of magical traditions actually struggle with, which is engaging with our land, with Terra, in a way that is a respect to the relationship, that we actually engage with it as a relationship and one that is worthy of respect. And if you're engaged in a relationship that is worthy of respect, you don't show up at the house and start planting things in. You don't go to visit a friend and start planting shit in their garden without asking. It's a bit rude. Um, Same thing when you're in the wild and you just go ahead and plant things. Now, my comment there about going to a friend's house and using that as an analogy is actually a great way to step into part two of this, which is the use of planting seeds in a container when you go to a ritual that has your intention, and you all charge it up, and then you're going to go home and you're going to grow it. Well, a high majority of the times that I have been in those rituals, I was not pre-notified that there was going to be this situation. I was not invited to bring a specific type of seed. I did not pre-think any intention. I show up and they're like, "Ooh, we're gonna do the seed thing. We're gonna plant our intentions and grow. And it's gonna be great." Yeah, you know what that was? That was a short, sad life for some poor seed, assuming that it even germinated uh, multiple times over, because multiple rituals, because I was not prepared on one hand, and also, um, well, and tied into it, I because I was not prepared, I wasn't ready to take on a plant child. It's not as bad as someone bringing home a puppy to the house without negotiating with the other people in the house, but at the same time, it has resonances to that. I have a plant that I bought when I got that when I was at most 15, might have been younger. I'm over 50 now. So that plant is over 35 years old. That's a long time to be responsible for another living thing. And I think, again, the lack of engagement with the living things, the living environment, the with nature, with the wild, as an equal partner in the relationship that is worthy of respect. Because if we really respected what was going on there, they would have, you know, told me ahead of time. I would have had the option to do it. I would have probably brought my own seed. What seeds best reflect what it is that I want to do? Like, if you're going to go down that road, of using seeds and energy and magic to uh, like seeds for that magic, you want to go in there, right? Like you're committing to a long-term thing. You're also, your intention should be aligned with that, right? This should be something that you want to build in your life for a long period of time. Unless you're talking like you're planting tomato seeds and you want to see it through a harvest and then you're going to harvest it, right? Like you really want to align the seeds, the intention, and like long-term vision for that plant into the ritual. And then you're going to have to look after it. It's a living thing that you have said, I'm now going to look to engage with you. I'm going to bring you into this world and I'm going to, support you. I'm not planting you out where you could, your natural habitat where you can just thrive. That's not what's happening here. So yeah, it's kind of a thing for me. Gotta say, this idea that you're just going to do it. Whew, and you plant a seed, it grows. Yeah, how long are you going to look after it? How are you going to look after it? Are you going to look after it? Um, I get it. I get it. It's a very appealing kind of ritual. It touches into all of those good, warm, feely things. Um, and it also, I think, speaks to one of the places where we could really use some work on our ritual creation, is that we want to really see how rituals uh, thread through the rest of our lives, right? Like we're living a life, and as we live that life, we are weaving a tapestry that is our experience in the life that we have lived. So when we do magic, it's like adding a special thread out of nowhere that could be all sparkly and glittery and unicorny even, or dark and scary and monstery. I mean, I'm very open and do all the things. That said, like when we're adding those threads, are you just doing a quick little, like, whoop, there was one little thread, you see a little sparkle, great. Or do we want to take that, thread of sparkles? I don't know why I'm sparkly today. Maybe it's the Imbolc in me. And then actually keep it threading through. Does it become part of our tapestry, or is it just a little whoop that makes a little dot in our weaving? So if we when we do the seed ritual, unless you're really committed to it, I haven't met anybody. I mean, I haven't talked to a lot of people, so maybe there are a bunch of you for whom you still have plants that have come from those rituals, or that you saw it through completely. It was a plant, it grew, you harvested it, it had a great life, and that harvest became something that you put into another ritual. Oh my God, those are amazing rituals when you can go, I grew this. Like you can see, I have booze on my walls because I have brewed mead for a number of years. Then I had cancer and surgery, and now I can't really drink. Joke's on me. Still make really fabulous mead though, except that it's kind of like I need more people drinking it for that to happen. Anyhow, given that I've had this hobby for a number of years, if I had, and I have done this, I have grown plants, some of them herbs, because vegetables and I on the balcony don't get along. I've tried it a number of times. It's not good. The only thing that I can grow that isn't an herb that is edible are strawberries. I haven't planted those strawberries in years and years. It just keeps reseeding itself. I get strawberries like ready to eat at Yule because apparently I have relations with strawberries, which is kind of interesting. Anyhow, I have taken so herbs. I don't grow that many strawberries, and from my garden, and I have added them into, you know, some of the meats that I have made. Usually a magical meat at that point, because why the fuck not? I grew the plant. I've put the energy and that life, and I've had that relationship. And if I had really thought it through, I could have planted the seed that would become the plant that I was going to harvest, and even planting the seed with the intention, which would end up being the same intention that was the intention and energy and magic that went into that particular batch of meat, right? Like layering into the magic. Oh, so good. But to do that, we actually have to really think about it and think through it. It would be better, quite frankly, if there was somebody who really wanted to do a seed ritual, that one person is the one doing it. And then the ritual group comes together to support that working, and maybe has other things that they want to do for themselves that would have the same type of energy, but maybe, not an actual plant if they're not ready to care for and look after it. Um, there was a thought that just went through my head about that, and I do believe it has skittered off into the wild blue yonder because I don't know now what it was. Oh, actually, it came back. How kind of it to do so. The thought is this: that if, or another way to approach a plant ritual could actually be to take a plant that isn't doing well, right? It could be that project that you've wanted to do for a long time, and yet it never quite takes off. It struggles all the time. Like maybe you have some issues around it. I may resemble this remark. Hi, going live because at least I'm doing it, right? Got to over the wall. So maybe that plant, that sickly plant, is representative, and a great resonance with that magic of kind of taking something that you've already engaged with and giving it that new lease on life, right? You don't want seeds for that. You actually want like the struggling plant in your house that you haven't gotten rid of, but you haven't quite properly looked after, that's still trying to figure out if it's going to live or it's going to die. Take that plant, do that ritual, and make that plant representative, and engage with, and a flow of the Terran energy, that life energy, traveling with the plant, and your engagement with the plant becomes your engagement with the magic, and that can help you be that supportive structure on an energetic magical level, if not also a little bit somatic, a little bit emotional, as you work on that project that you're having problems engaging with. And either you're actually going to make some steps on the project, which would mean, hey, it worked, good blend of magic and into the physical, good manifestation. Or hey, plant lives and you decide to give up the project because the engagement with the plant helped you understand, let it go. Or plant lives and you're like, I love looking after the plants, but I still can't do the thing. Okay, plant wasn't sufficient to get you through your barriers. Or plant dies and you do the thing, and all those other options apply. But that would be a really great way to approach using a plant in ritual, rather than just always seeds. Why does it always have to be a new beginning? Oh my goodness, we do not need more beginnings. We have so many beginnings. Let the beginnings go. Let's embrace the middle. Let's embrace the endings. Oh my gosh, we have to get so much better on endings. But that, my lovelies, is an entirely different ranting abysmal perspective. So I'm going to let it go with this. I hope that you are having a truly wild and weird and wondrous time in your life, in this moment, as you're living it. Bye, my wonders. Blessed be. Now, how do I end this thing? Ooh, button.